you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, there are these things that makes official. Welcome to the big show. As always today, we are the oldest existing podcast that publishes episodes daily. The daily active publishing. We are the oldest podcast still in existence out of a handful of wonderful old podcasts, but we're the only ones still alive and kicking it hard, because that's what we do around here on the Chris Voss Show. We kick it hard. So anyway, I'm sure your family, friends, or relatives are all send our author out to I don't know, just shame you and give you dirty looks. And go to goodreads.com /Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com /Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTok, and all those crazy places on the internet that we're at. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. Today we have an amazing young man on the show. We're going to be talking about his book called American Robot, A Cultural Chameleon Rises Above Race and Religious Traumas by Anthony Vessup. We're going to get into it with him. He's an award winner in a myriad of venues. He's a retired college communications professor. Oh, he's going to give me an F today. Author of several, won't be the first one though. Author of the several textbooks, memoirs, poetry, and photography collections. He's received honors abroad as a foreign expert in the People's Republic of China. He's a self-proclaimed global ambassador. His works reflect a cultural guru dedicated to a mission of community bridge building through information sharing and peacemaking efforts. Storytelling programs have fostered a foundation for his award-winning Cultures in Focus cable TV programs, poetry programs, and story series for children. Welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
Thank you very much, Chris. Glad to meet you. I'm fine. I'm glad I'm still kicking it on this side of the earth.
So give us a .coms, websites, social media, wherever you want people to learn more about you on the interwebs.
Facebook is one, then is another. My other is culturesinfocus.us, and then also AaronCultureShops.org. That's me. You can find me just about anywhere on these various platforms. Yes.
So give us a 30,000 overview. What's inside your book?
Inside the book is how I became the cultural guru, as I call myself, that I am, and what I've gone through, the different phases of growing up and experiencing different occupations and so forth, and how I became me. And it goes across races, and it goes across many experiences and many countries and many states in the USA, because I've taught a lot of places everywhere, and then I've taught abroad and lived abroad and so forth and so on. So it is about a person who gets out of prison, a mental prison.
Wow.
And I believe that that's how we have to free our own selves, free our own minds. And it's up to us to be what we want to be, even though we are told many times, as I was, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. Mm-hmm. And I learned that, no, you don't let what other people say define how you move, who you are, and so forth. You have to know yourself. That's Michael Jordan used to say that. You know yourself. After you've lost and you've been through many things, you know what you can do. And when you've tested the waters, and when you found yourself with shortcomings, then you work on yourself. You can't blame other people. I found when you didn't make something you wanted to make or reach a goal, you can't blame whatever happened. Oh, that's their fault. They didn't do this. No. What did I not do? That's how I always try to move. I always try to look at, okay, what's my weakness, whether it's in sports or whatever. What's my weakness? What do I really need to work on? Is it the backhand or whatever it is? What do I really need to work on? And that comes with other things. If you get it into sports and you learn certain things about how to win, then you learn also how to apply this in other areas of your life. And it's very important for us to check ourselves. And that's what I've been doing most of my life, finding out and giving myself a barometer and a test. Okay, where are you now? You talk to talk. Can you walk? Doing all this cultural stuff on TV and having all these people. That was fun. But what about what can you do? You can sit behind and talk all the time, but what can you do? Jump in. That's what I've encouraged myself and challenged myself through all these years. And it's been a lot of fun because many times you don't know how the end is going to come out. But if you just trust and you just go and you believe and you pray, hey, it works. It works.
Yeah. So would you call this a memoir then?
Yes, it is. It is a memoir. It covers 4 marriages. It covers many travels. Oh man, I could write a book on just that alone.
Yeah, just that alone.
It does have stuff in it about those different relationships. And once again, you check yourself. Yeah, you can always point the finger on the other side, but what about myself? What about me? What have I learned? What do I do? How do I want to proceed and move on? Where do I go from here? Rather than, I'll just sit at the bar and cry and tell stories and people say, you're lying. That's not true. Yeah, it is true. But I've met a lot of people, I've done a lot of things, and I've had a lot of fun in my life, but I still enjoy living.
That's the important thing. Enjoy living. It sounds like across your life, you focus on growing, educating yourself, going to new environments that maybe are challenging and uncomfortable to make yourself comfortable with them. Does that sound like a good summation?
Yes, that is. And you know what? At the beginning, it all started when I was in junior high school. I was in a shop class, and we had a Mexican guy. He didn't speak any English, and he was seated next to me. I don't know why, but they figured they seated next to me, and it was at Compton Junior High School, Enterprise Junior High. And the kids played a joke on him, a very mean joke, and I saw it. And so when he was called into the office to tell through his interpreter what had happened, and then I was called in, I was received all kind of bad behavior responses from the community on campus because of that situation. But what it taught me was that I love to be the champion for the underdog or the little guy or whatever, the guy who doesn't really know, he's trying to figure things out. And I always wanted to be new. I always envied people who were new to our schools, various schools, whatever the school was. I felt, oh my God, they get all the attention. Be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for. Because as my life moved on, I found myself in those type situations. And I had to learn how to survive, sink or swim. But you know, what really got me going, it was at the very beginning in high school. I read a story by a guy named Haywood Brown, Broun. He was a journalist in the 30s, and he ran against Roosevelt for president. He said, I'd rather be right than Roosevelt. And he lost. But he was a socialist and he ran on the socialist ticket. But anyway, he was quite a journalist, and he formed the American Writers Guild and so forth and so on. But he wrote a story that caught my attention. It was called The 51st Dragon. And I copied, and I was taking note class because I planned to go to college, even though the counselor said, no, your dad's an electrician. You should be an electrician like your dad. But I said, no. So anyway, I was taking notes and learning how to take notes in class. And I read the story, and it was so good, called The 51st Dragon. I decided to make the voices, shorten it to 10 minutes, and get involved in speech competition. And I did, and it was humorous because I made the voices humorous, the principal, the teacher, the counselor, and the guy he was winning, he was killing dragons all the time until he found out that the magic word that he was using to shield himself wasn't really the thing that made him successful. It was his practice. It was his belief in himself. It's what he did. So I love the story. I practiced it. I went to different classes. I said, teachers, before roll call, let me come in. I'm in San Bernardino basically at that time, an all white school. I'd moved from California, from LA to San Bernardino. And there's very few of us minorities in the school. But I wanted to go in these classes and show that I could tell the story that make them laugh and have fun. Bottom line, ended up going to Whittier College to make it to the finals, to go to the state championships. But I overslept. Because my dad didn't wake me up. I tried to blame it on him. I could not blame it on him because there was a ram in the bush. I took my ratty car. I couldn't drive to the college or the desert. So I took my ratty car, drove because I missed the team. They left. Yeah. They left. 5:30, they're gone. Okay, so I wake up, the sun is shining, I'm scared, I'm upset, drive my car, I'm going to treat myself. I go to IHOP or whatever it was to have pancakes and sit down and moan. And walk in a coach with 2 competitors. I can tell they were going to the College of the Desert because they had the same golden pin on their lapels, on their suits that we all had in those days, if you were in the forensics. And instead of me asking, do you know my coach? Can I catch a ride with you? I just sat there and looked mean. I was just angry. I could have easily asked for help, but I didn't.
Wow.
And that weekend ended. The other 3 competitors from our school, they all came back with 2 feet, 3 foot high trophies. They won their events. And they said, "What happened to you, man? Where were you? Why did you come there?" I couldn't tell them the truth that I'd overslept. I couldn't blame my dad. I couldn't do anything. But it taught me you can work very hard. I worked very hard to reach that level. But I never made that level because of my own self. I got in the way of myself. So later on, when I got to junior college, I got involved in competition and debate team and all that stuff again. And once again, I found out, you have to know how to work, and you know how to not blame others, but work on your weaknesses. And that's what I've been doing all my life, trying to work on my own weaknesses and try to be the cultural ambassador, whether it was in China or Mexico or Russia or Cuba or wherever I've been. Try to be the ambassador so people will know, okay, you've seen the stereotypes, you heard the stereotypes, but this is me. Okay, this is me. And then go from there, and you'll find how the doors open, and people are just wonderful all around the world. Around the world. And you find that what you've been told and what you've seen in the media is not true.
No, you have to meet the people on the ground. I think most times when we hear about other countries, it's from a political leader aspect of whatever they're arguing. Yeah. And that makes a difference when you meet the people on the ground that are the human beings that they're not the toxic politicians. They're always throwing rocks at each other and crap and bickering and stuff. So that helps make a difference. So I think you were talking earlier at the beginning of the show when we were in the green room about something about bulls and stuff. Does that involve this book or a different book?
No, it doesn't involve this book, but it springs from it because when I lived in China, I retired from teaching in the U.S. and coaching and having winners and all that wonderful stuff, and then doing the TV thing. And then I just thought, why don't you just jump in? Okay. I tried to say, okay, why don't you really, really jump in? And I always wanted to go to China. Always wanted to go. Oh, wow. And our poetry group was a World Congress of Poets. They were guests of all different countries around the world. They rolled out the red carpet for us and all that. So I've been to several countries. So they invited us to China. And so I'm going. But then I've got the ticket, but then the invitation had been rescinded. But I'm going anyway. Okay. And so I went. Stayed for 1 month, 1 week in one hotel, another week in another hotel, 4 weeks, and walking the streets, taking the taxis, doing this, doing that. And I discovered, you know what? I really like this. It's a challenge. At that time, I knew nothing about Mandarin. I'd taken a little Japanese. I can speak Japanese. They don't like Japanese in China. I didn't know that at the time. You know, good. I had no clue. But anyway, long story short is the invitation from China came again. This time it was in Taipei. I went to Taipei. It was totally different than the mainland. And I decided, you know what? I like the people on the mainland. I don't like all this glitzy stuff and all this wonderful. It's beautiful in Taipei, Taiwan. It's beautiful. But the difference was the people. And when you sit down with somebody and you have a beer with them, you don't have much English or hardly any English between the two of you, and you're trying to talk conversation and all that, and you find that people are willing to just be themselves and just welcome you. It was a wonderful experience. I decided, you know what? I want to go over there. I want to teach for a while. And that's what I did. And so I ended up writing for magazines. I ended up traveling all over, going to Tibet and other places. And there were people say, oh, no, you can't go there. You can't do this. Oh, you can do it. If you want to do it, do it. Do it.
Do it. The thing that people don't realize is you get old, you get tired, you know, traveling can be kind of not fun when you're old. You're always like, where's the nearest bathroom? So you might as well enjoy it while you're young. And a lot of young people used to do that back in the day. They would go work with the Peace Corps. Yeah. Or the big thing was they'd go work on a ship so they could get free transportation, and then they would go walk around Europe and stay in the hostels and stuff. Yeah. And the people would do that, and that led to a really great group of people being in our society that had a worldview that was very different than people who never leave their backyard, which is even more popular nowadays and more dumber. So and so I think it's great you're doing that, and it's great advice for anybody who wants to go down that road, because you can really learn some stuff there.
You know what interested me, I found out whether I was working in human rights at the beginning before I went solidly into education, working for a community government, first human rights director and all that. I found out that many people did not know what was around the corner or down the street, or had never seen Mississippi or never. And then when I moved to Illinois, Chicago, and I'm teaching at a college there, and I found out many students were afraid to go to Chicago. Their parents had never been. It's a dangerous place. You don't go. And so my job now is becoming, I've got to get these kids to go to Chicago. I've got to get them to see what's there, the Art Institute. I've got to get them to see not just Jerry Springer or Jenny Jones, but I got them to see other things about Chicago so that they wouldn't have fear, because many people feared just the city because of the reputation. And it's a very clean city. It's a very cultural city.
I find people that do that too. They not only do that to Chicago, but they do that to LA too, or California. They just blanket whatever they saw on Fox News about California. And I've had people tell me that, California's going to collapse any second. It's going to economically collapse. It's a shithole. And I'm like, have you ever been there? I don't know. I grew up in California. I've been back there living too, and it's doing fine. Are the taxes a little high and the traffic's a nightmare? Yeah, it's a lot of people. It's 12 million people, and I don't know, a square mile.
Try Beijing. Yeah. You'll hear people say too many people. Oh,
there?
Yeah.
But you guys have all that fog too.
But it's changing. It's really changing. Yeah, there are two things that I wanted to mention. One, when you mentioned about the California thing, my book called the fiction book called Twins focuses on these young guys who are trying to make California become an island, because they see riches. If they can control and buy land on both sides, they're going to be rich when California separates, because they're going to make sure it separates through earthquake moving and all that stuff, which they can do with their psychic powers. So it's a very interesting thing that some people still have some of these goals in their minds and so forth and so on. But everywhere has its problems. Everywhere has its good things and bad things. What I found out recently going to China, went back earlier this year. I was in Korea and Hong Kong and China and so forth. Just the fact that area that I hadn't looked at, called Shenzhen, is an new economic zone in China across from Hong Kong, and the World Trade Center is there. And because I'm into this bulls thing, what really got into it when I was traveling around in China, seeing so many different architectural, artistic renditions of bulls, that I got really carried away. And I thought I'd seen all the bulls in China, and I'd seen many, and all over the world, seen many, in Austria and Germany and everywhere. And so I thought, I've got a handle on this. Then I got to Shenzhen, and man, I went to the World Trade Center. They said, you like bulls, huh? And they took me, and I saw this bull in the front. Okay, it's big, almost like the one in New York, but not quite as big. And though there is one in Shanghai, just as big, similar, but different posture as the one on Wall Street. So I thought, I've got this in the bag. They showed me this bull. I thought, not very big. And then I went up on the plaza. What you can't see, up on the plaza, closer to the building, above the street level, are 3 huge bulls. Huge, really, really big, artistic and everything, beautiful, and make you want to fall down on your knees. I'd say, wow, this is beautiful. So my point is, you might think you see something and you know something, but if you really pay attention to details, which I've started to do since I got into photography, and that's a long, long story. But if you really pay attention to details, you will notice things that a lot of people don't see. People do not see. And that's what attracted me into photography in the first place. Robert Capa, the famous war journalist. Yeah, my dad was in the Navy and so forth and so on. If you read my book, you'll find out how he disciplined us and how he made us become robots. I loved him to death, but I understood that if you don't save yourself and think for yourself, man, you're lost. You are in trouble. And I could just see the handwriting on the wall. So I had to start not being belligerent, not being disobedient, but learning how to, as he would say, cope with a situation. Cope with a situation. You learn that in the service. You learn to cope with a situation. And I learned, hey, you can see the world. You can learn to listen to radio. You can use the mail. You can fall in love with baseball. You can do these things that other people don't think are important if you really, really want to do them. So the desire has to be there, and you have to write your own script. And that's what I've done, and that's what you will see in American Robot. You will see how I wrote my own script, how I broke the rules, and then the rules, and then setting your own rules, but learning to stay within the law, use your gifts, and take advantage of opportunities, because they are there. They are there if you're open to them. And if you don't put the blame on others and put your own effort. I call it embracing the suck. You have to learn to embrace the suck and then find out the good in it, because there's good in everything for it. If you look for it, you'll find it. It's there.
I do that in prison, embrace the suck, but I'm not sure what that means. Anyway, moving on. We do the jokes. We do the jokes in the show. So not sure what that means, but don't go to prison, folks. Funny. That's basically it. So yeah, you've sold the whole book. I'm sold. I don't need any more convincing to buy this thing.
You'll enjoy it. Even if you don't read it, you can listen to it, because we have an audio version of it.
You got an audio.
So you can just plug it in. But my thing is, I fell in love with baseball. I fell in love with listening to Vin Scully and Jerry Doggett call the Dodger games. I fell in love with listening to KGO radio in San Francisco. Ira Blue had a talk show, which was fantastic. I loved radio. I love radio. Made my own shortwave radio and all that.
Really?
A little transistor radio, listening to. I loved how the guys talked and how they called the games and so forth and so on. I became a rabid, I was going to say Raiders fan. No, I became a rabid Dodger fan and Rams fan back in the day. Now I'm a Raiders fan. I'm all kind of fans, because I've been all over the damn place, from the Steelers to Chicago and the Bears and all that stuff. So I love the sports. I love all of that stuff, but I also love the life, the lessons in life that it teaches you. Meeting Ali was a big thing for me.
Yeah. That must have been amazing.
Oh, it was amazing, and he was incredible, and he was funny as hell. He was funny. You joke. They had to hold him back, because he really could joke. You have to hold him back. Oh, yeah. He was a trip. But the other thing was Paul Simon, Senator Simon. Long before Obama, I met Paul Simon, and I interviewed him in the Capitol, in the Senate, in the White House, underneath the Senate. It was fantastic. Those were highs for me. And he said, young man, and he'd written a book called The Tongue-Tied American. He said, whatever you do, go abroad. And at the time, I'd been thinking about Zimbabwe and thinking about South Africa. This was before Mandela was out. And then I ended up going there twice, when he was in, and then when he was out, and experiencing South Africa in a different way, experiencing Zimbabwe in a different way, experiencing Egypt in a different way, and crying when I went to the Nile and all that. I don't know why, but crying, because it just gripped my heart, what I saw and what I felt. And that's what will happen when you really meet people on their own terms, and you learn to not judge, but accept and understand this is their way. They don't need to be my way, which is how I was raised. There's only one way. And everybody else is the devils. They're all the devils. I don't care who they're the devils. Everybody's the devil. After a while, you find out the devils are within us, or in our ranks, and we are our own devils. And if you understand how to interpret what's going on in the main threads in life, you can have a wonderful life, an enjoyable life, and meet wonderful people, and see how wonderful the world, as Louis Armstrong used to say, it is a wonderful world. You get a chance to see, and you'd love jazz. You'd love all kind of music, because that's the expression of God in us. Those are the expressions of the Spirit, those inspirations, those musical geniuses, those writing geniuses. These people who are very creative and put their lives on the line, they are putting their lives on the line for a reason. And when they embrace whatever they've embraced, they have to pay the price. You pay the price. And you talk about being old, and listen, I learned how to deal with wheelchair assistants. I love wheelchair assistants. I don't mind tipping for wheelchair assistants, because those damn airports are just too huge for these old hips and these old legs, man. I want to enjoy the end of the journey, the end of the trip, and not the duress of trying to just get there.
Yeah, I make the guys just carry me on their back. I pay them an extra 20.
Yeah. I used to hockey been to Haiti, just so you don't whip the damn donkeys until they.
It's easier. It makes you feel like a kid again. My dad would carry me on my back. So yeah, that's a good idea. I didn't know you could. Can you do that at the airports, even though you're not officially handicapped? You're just like, hey, I'm 58, and they go, oh yeah, you're a cripple. Okay, here you go.
Listen, carry a cane. It helps. Carry a cane, and they don't ask any questions. Oh, sir, people are so different and so hospitable. And so
I'm getting 2 fucking canes.
This
is a great idea. I love this.
Yes. I'm serious. You can use your luggage as canes with wheels, or you can have one cane and the luggage, and then just plop in the chair and say, hey, I need wheelchair assistance. I need that.
I gotta work on my acting now, because I'm in that senior thing. Some gal went for a haircut last week, and some gal, she meant well. She wasn't trying to be evil, but she said to me, do you want the men's cut or the senior cut?
Oh my God.
Wow. I'm like 58.
Oh, you're young, man.
I was like, honey, that hurt. That really hurt. Seriously.
You know
You
what?
didn't have to go there.
I talk about race cards. No, I pull the age card all the time, as many times as I can. I was born in 1947, and people say, "Oh, you don't look like it. You don't live the bones. You don't know how I feel. You don't know about the midnight runs. You don't know about any of that stuff. But that's none of your business." I'm making my way because of the determination and the passion, and I'm embracing the suck. And you'll find out there are many creative ways to embrace the suck, so you can enjoy yourself and not hurt yourself. And that's the key. As you get older, you find out, don't hurt yourself.
Yeah.
And we used to say, if you're really performing, you hurt yourself, hurt something, boy, hurt something. If you're playing the instrument or whatever, hurt something. If you're dancing, hurt something. If you're hurting something, that means you're really doing it. You're doing it, man. You're doing it down to the bone. You're hurting something. But if you're not hurting yourself, especially in the long run, and I had to learn, people can say gambe, cheers, all they want, and swallow, and all they want. But there's a point. I know that as a youngster going up, there's a point you have to set your own limits, and you have to know how much you can handle. And if you let other people direct how you enjoy yourself, you're in trouble. But if you set limits and people see you're firm with your limits and you can enjoy yourself and have a good time, hey, go for it. But you have to have self-control. And that's the thing many of us have to learn, because discipline is hard. Discipline is difficult. I'm working on my core right now, so I don't have to use a cane that much anymore. And I'm feeling great about it. But the whole thing is discipline. And that's what's nasty. People hate that. If it's not easy.
With a cane, are you able to be the first one on the airplane?
Yes. You're the first one on.
I'm getting on Amazon right now and buying me a cane.
Man.
I'm gonna get a fucking walker. Just so I can be the first one.
That's too slow. Because you want to be able to spring up afterwards and say, "Oh, thank you very much," and be gone.
Oh, thank you very much.
If you have a nice cane, if you have a nice looking cane, they'll think you're the Godfather or whatever. So you have to have a dumpy looking one to get you around if you need, but have a good one just for show, because they don't want to hurt that cane. They don't want to mess it up. They will give you a nice wooden cane before you go through the screener and all that stuff. So no problem. They can help you up, or you can stay in your seat, your wheelchair, whatever you prefer. It's your business. But the thing of it is, you have somebody with you all the way, taking care of business to the hard stuff and zipping you through and all that. And that's, if there's anything about this exercise of listening to me, you'll learn about being a robot, is don't be a robot. Find a way to let others be a robot for you.
What a guy! You should put that on a coffee cup or a thing. No, I'm gonna break out my pimp cane from when I used to work the streets and put on my pimp hand rings, and I'm just gonna be pimp daddy. Wear my big. I'm just gonna look. I won't look like an old bent over guy. I'm gonna get one of them. I'll get my pimp suit out.
Yeah.
Big fur coat.
Godfather it, man.
And I'll just have that walk. And then just throw a limp in there every other
every now and
stride.
then.
Every other stride, throw a limp in there. Oh, my hip. Oh.
Yeah. When you stand up too, don't be quick. Be slow. Be slow. Be intentional, gradual, and do it. You got it. But don't let them know. And just don't go on the dance floor. Don't try to show off doing the chicken dances and those kind of things.
I'm not good at dancing anyway. I'm white.
Now, listen, I found out that even though I'm black, I can't dance, and I thought I could.
What?
And I went. Hey, listen. I went to Cuba, and I found no, man, you can't dance. Okay?
Really?
Oh, listen. I said I went because of the Canadian had an Illegal project, and they had and dancers from all around the world. They invited them to go to Cuba through Canada, and my opportunity to go to Cuba for the first time. I went 4 times later, but afterwards,
I'm jealous.
Oh man, it was fantastic. But the thing of it was, these guys work hard.
Oh, they
dancing,
like crazy, man.
And practicing.
That music over there, dude. That's why I was surprised. That's why I was surprised you didn't dance, because their music is.
Listen,
even now I could probably dance to it, because I'm.
You want to, but when you see the practice that they go through in the hot, dark, sweaty gyms and all that for hours and hours. Listen, I pulled out my camera. Listen, I'm a photographer. I just really want to take photos. Okay. They agreed. They said, fine. Because I couldn't keep up with them, number one. They would laugh. Number two, and basic hot cha-cha, nothing. Sorry. And I could dance. I had dancing before, and people say, oh, yeah, on cruises and all that. Yeah, you can dance. No. You go to Cuba. No, I can't dance at all. Compared to those dancers, they dance like water and fluid. No. I will watch.
That Cuban music is something else, man.
God,
and the food. I am so jealous of you when I believe it was under Obama, they opened up Cuba, and I was doing photography back then with Canon. I tried to get Canon to pay for the trip, and I wasn't that great of a photographer back then, probably still not. And they were like, yeah, that's cute. We'll keep supporting you with lenses and different things, but we're not doing that. And so I wanted to go when it opened up because that whole island had been basically hermetically sealed, locked in time to the 50s and 60s. And those old Chevys and just, I love old places like that. And I was like, I got to get there before Starbucks and McDonald's and all these other jerk off things show up that are so American. They just ruin everything. And so I want to go there. Do you have your photos from Cuba?
Yes, I do.
Put up on a website?
I have them on my website. And in fact, one of the ones that I early in the morning I think it was my fourth trip or the third trip or whatever, early in the morning, I caught these kids, the lovers in a shambles and a beautiful car in the front. You talk about an old car in the front. And I got the shot. It's called Secret Love. That ended up getting an award at the Chicago Industrial Museum exhibition a while back, and that's on the Secret Love. It's a beautiful shot, black and white and all that, with the decayed building and the beautiful car in the front and them hiding in the background. This early in the morning, it's hotter than hell. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm walking the streets, and I'm just trying to find the shot. But
that's when you do.
You gotta fish.
Looking for the moment.
Oh yes, and it's fantastic, and that's why I enjoyed going to other places, especially all around China and other places. Here's my heartbreak story. I was invited just before the pandemic broke out with National Geographic to go to Iceland. Now, I'd been to Iceland before 1,000 years ago as a stop off going to Europe and all that stuff. I'd been there before and it looked like the moon. I thought, I really want to go back. So I looked it up again and I saw, these are some beautiful places I never thought was there in Iceland. They sent me the money. I ended up having to send most of it back because the pandemic happened and they went anyway.
Really?
Yes, they did. I couldn't even get to the bank in Vegas. I was living at the time, and the banks were so you had to make an appointment. You still go.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
it was horrible. It was horrible. So they froze the funds and so forth and so on. But anyway, I saw later on what they shot and what they did. I was so happy. I was almost jumping over the moon because I was going to be in that group that was going to Iceland through National Geographic. That was going to be my high point. But anyway, bottom line is I saw what they did and it was just really fantastic. So I still want to go anyway to Iceland to see what they saw because Iceland is beautiful. It's just untamed really in many areas and untapped. Most people don't even know it's there. But that's the wonderful thing I enjoy about photography is learning how to appreciate small things, appreciate life through Robert Capa. I learned through war. This guy is shooting with bullets flying over his head and so forth. That's real, to me, that's real courage. When you can do that with your life on the line and you're shooting the death, you're shooting the agony, you're shooting real stuff, real shit. That's what I'm talking about. And that's the kind of life I like. Live and deal with in a humanic way and build bridges as you go.
I love your photos, dude. I'm going through them here on the site. I see the Cuba one you were talking about.
Yeah, thank you.
With the two lovers. Yeah. And I love your use of black and white. I love black and white photography.
Me too. I'm going back to it. I'm going back to it. Yes. You
could probably train in a Nikon for a Sony, but that's just me.
Listen, you're not preaching to the choir. Listen, from Mamiya to Nikon to Canon, it's now Sony.
Is it really?
Yes, it is. Small ones, everything.
You're a real photographer.
Listen, man, I can tell you some stories. The last one was the damn lens cap hadn't used the big camera in such a long time. The lens cap was sealed on and I had a screen thing on it and all that stuff. And I'm going to this place where this bulls is supposed to be. It's in Mexico somewhere, way out somewhere near some border somewhere. And I don't know where. This is recent. And I can't get the damn lens cap off. I'm pouring hot and cold soda on the damn thing.
Jeez.
Yeah, I'm desperate, man. We've driven all these hours to get to this place that's not the right place. And I can't get the lens cap off. So what am I going to do? And then it ended up, so I used up the mobile camera, the small Sony, and I used my mobile phone, blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't much, and the place wasn't what I really wanted anyway, so it didn't matter. So by the time we finally got back to the city, Mexico City, I finally had gotten the lens lens cap off, and so forth and so on. But I was able to use the damn camera that I really wanted. But still, that's another long story. When you see the end of the project called Bullishness, Naked Bullishness, when you see that, bulls all around the world, I'm trying to find what is the best looking bull in the world from a sculptural standpoint. When you see what I found, you're going to say, hey, man, you hit it. You hit it. You hit it.
Yeah.
You hit it. Because that's my goal since 1995, Guatemala, thinking I'm a photographer at the very beginning, trying to shoot with cops all around in the intersection. You getting up to the bull on the high stand and trying to do some crazy, silly shit and doing it and not getting arrested. I'm like, oh my God, I'm a photographer now because I can do this stuff. And then that carries, and you go here and you go there and you find other challenges and you make things happen. You make things happen.
Yeah.
You are the news. You make
your photography is awesome. I like this picture of the bull looking down on the passerby and the bike going by.
Yes,
and it looks like it gives you this juxtaposition sort of thing. Timing. Listen, when you scout things out and think ahead. You do all kinds of things like that. But that was in Changsha, China, in Hunan. Wow. That was my first contractual position there, teaching there. I was there for about 3 years, and then I moved from there to another province, got awards teaching there. 3 years, then moved to another one, 5 years, different provinces teaching, because I found that the information about Americans in general was not correct. And the information about my people was not correct. And all the images they were seeing and being fed was just, all they knew about was Alvin Iverson, basketball player. Guy changed his name to Iverson because he was so crazy about basketball, and Michael Jordan and Mike Tyson. Other than that, they don't know anything about it until these guys start going over there, and Serena and Williams and all these others start going over there and playing in front of, I'm a tennis fan from way back, an addict. When they start seeing real people and meeting real people, then their attitudes change. And you could see it. I could see how China changed getting ready for the Olympics in 2008. And I went in 2008 and stayed until 2015, and then just went back recently. And I'm going back again this fall. The quality of life, it'll blow your mind. When you read, the reason I wrote The American Robot was because in China, I wrote Black in China, published by a group in Shanghai. Okay. And I was happy about it, except they said, oh, but you can't say this, you can't say that. You take this out, this out. Oh, yes, it was censored. I said, oh, really? Okay. Thank you very much. China for you.
So yeah. Listen, I wrote for a minute South China Morning Post, big people. Okay. National distribution. But anyway, bottom line, when I got back to the USA, I said, okay, that was censored. It tells some of the things that happened, but it doesn't tell everything that what really happened. And now I'm going to tell you. You're going to find out the real things. I'm not holding anything back. And so that's what I was able to do with American Robot. I'm not holding anything back, man. That's why I said 4 marriages, but other things, blah, blah, blah. Real shit, real stuff, real talk. I don't pull any punches. And that's what people loved about me, was the fact that I said, okay, you go visit America. Go. But I bet you'll come back. Go. You should go. But I bet you'll come back. And they do. Yeah. They've always returned because the quality of life is so different, man. It's hard for me to explain, okay? Except the quality of life is different. You don't see people can't eat. Everybody eats. That's number one. Do I need to say anything else? Everyone eats, okay? Yeah. When I came back here and I took the train from Baltimore, Silver Springs, Maryland, all across back to Vegas, to California, LA, and then to Vegas, I literally cried because of what I saw at the main cities, the cities that I've been to, Philadelphia, Chicago, Pittsburgh, different places in Ohio, all across the country. And I'm seeing veterans, and I support the wounded warriors. I support Doctors Without Borders. Even if I didn't have any money, I support them because of the need. Because what you see in the street, what we do to our veterans makes me angry. Yeah. What we do to our citizens, guys who put their lives on the line, even though they may not agree with the politics, they do what they have to do. And then it makes me really angry. It really does. Okay?
It's definitely unfortunate.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. And then when you've been somewhere, when you see how people are treated who are local citizens who don't like the government, they will tell you they're against the government, but they fall in line because the government will make sure or you'll disappear. You're going to fall in line. Okay. So you learn to cope with the situation. And that's the one thing about the Chinese character that a lot of people don't understand. They're very, very creative because they know how to get over all the hardships and obstacles. The writer that I really like, besides I mentioned Haywood Brown, who really started me off, and different other writers like Louis Lomax and, of course, Malcolm X and other writers. But the one who really got me going was the thing about understanding the scholar of Franco, Dr. Franco from Camp to Exeter. That book really let me see, listen, there are ways of surviving. You can be in prison, but you can survive. It's in your mind. And it's up to you to break the bars. Break them.
Definitely. Man, you got me sold. You have crammed a lot in this. 4 divorces and all this travel and photography and great stuff. You have lived a life, my friend. As we go out, help us wrap the show. Give people a pitch out to pick up the book wherever fine books are sold.
Yes, I would urge you to check out Amazon.com, or the other one is Borders. There are many. Just plug my name in, Aaron Anthony Vessup, and you will see that I am visible somewhere. Okay, I'm putting this up here, which has some of my, I don't know if you can see that, contact thing.
Okay.
But I want to shout out to Los, what we call them? Los Rockeros in San Isidro de Heredia. It's a little rock group that's they're trying to get it together. They're pitching a lot of wonderful things about Costa Rica, and the Gergens, Tim and Lara Gergen, they're good friends of mine, good supporters. I want to shout out to them, but I want to also shout out to those who helped me along the way. I love you all very much. Help me along the way. And when you read American Robot, if you have any questions, or if you listen to it, if you have any questions, please drop me a line, because I'm there, aavessup@gmail.com, or photomanaav@gmail.com. You can find me. I'm in the world. I'm everywhere.
You are in the book. So thank you very much for coming to the show. I think was there a poem you want to plug in the last minute of the show?
There is. Yes, there is. This one is called Home Run, even though it says the title is Home Run. Base hits matter. In my book, base hits always matter. I mentioned that I'm crazy about baseball, but they say he could hit that ball. Man, he could hit that ball, and fans would come from far and near just to see them fall. And stolen bases records fell. He took them without fear, and with his heart won many games. His skills brought thousands cheer. But in the night I saw his face, tears streaming like the rain, for no one knew his loneliness and no one felt his pain. And although he gained some fame and wealth and many things he won, some loud praisers only saw him as a native son. They say the Berlin Wall is gone that held its victims down, but laws nor fame don't welcome some in other parts of town. And the game's now playing in Japan, and yes, in Russia too. But bricks held up by evil pride still wall out the few, for though we have our heroes and to fortunes some have trod, can we not show our love is pure, the ones who claim it's God? Remembering young innocence, life's games not all show. The longest ball is faith and hope in truth for all to grow. American Robot. Listen.
Check it out, folks. Check it out. Thank you very much for coming to the show, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Love the energy, my friend. If we could get whatever caffeine, coffee you're drinking and for the rest of our guests, that would be, I really appreciate it. I love it.
Red Bull. I'm a fan.
Are you? I should really rouse my kidneys, and so I don't know. But I drank too much for a lot of years. But no, I love your whole outlook on life. I love your energy. I love your perspective, and more people need to do that. Folks, order the book wherever fine books are sold. American Robot, a cultural chameleon rises above race and religious traumas. Thank you, Aaron, again.
Okay. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Hang in there. No rope-a-dope.
The old Ollie. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, youtube.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, and all those crazy places in it. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next.
You've been listening to the most amazing, intelligent podcast ever made to improve your brain and your life. Warning, consuming too much of the Chris Voss Show podcast can lead to people thinking you're smarter, younger, and irresistible sexy. Consume in regularly moderated amounts. Consult a doctor for any resulting brain bleed.